Hello, welcome back to PvP. We're doing a very special Shit Just In today because we've seen some very exciting news about a brand new Fallout TV show. I'm going to say TV show just for ease because it's not really a TV show, it's on a streaming service, but I'm going to say TV show as a force of habit, and that kind of covers everything within that bubble. Netflix, they make their own TV shows. I know it's not a TV show, but
it's available on TV.
Correct. You can watch it on your television.
Yeah, so it's a TV
Fair
show.
enough, you can make the same argument about movies. Kind of irrelevant, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this.
A movie's a movie because you go to the movies.
Yes, but that's not the only place that you can see it.
It's absolutely the only place you can watch movies.
Because you can't see Fallout on a big screen. Not yet, at least.
I don't know, I've got a pretty big telly.
Not that big. But this was announced yesterday,
Yes.
I believe. So Bethesda officially announced that they partnered with Amazon Studios to make a Amazon Prime, I'm assuming, exclusive show based on the Fallout games, or the Fallout universe. So, this is very exciting because I'm a massive fan of the Fallout games. I assume that you like them to some degree as well?
I fucking love Fallout.
Excellent. Then this could either be a very good show made in the vein of The Witcher, which was quite a good representation of... I know it's not based on the game, but it's based on the books. But either way, most people are... It's certainly in the West, I suppose, or outside of Eastern Europe anyway, have been exposed to The Witcher through the games rather than the books.
Yeah.
But it just seemed to be a very well-made show.
Yeah.
But then there's the potential that this could be a big pile of wank, which I'd rather it didn't be. But I suppose with anything that's based on a game property, it's very hit and miss.
Yeah.
Mainly misses, frankly. But as we're doing a special Shit Just In, there's a few things that I've been pondering that I want to discuss with you to see what your thoughts on the matter as well.
Oh, really?
Be. Indeed. But then also offer it out to you guys as well. So if there's anyone who does have any specific thoughts on this new Fallout show, is it going to be made, frankly? Is it all going to drop off, 6 months down the line? Who knows? But if we work on the assumption that it does come together and it is released, what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be any good? Let us know on www.podcastversusplayer.com, on the wall on there, if you've got any specific thoughts or theories as to what this is going to be or what it could be about. Or you can drop us a message on Twitter or Instagram, whatever you like.
Yeah.
But there's some questions that I've got for you. So, firstly, where is this going to be set?
On Amazon Prime. I don't know.
Should I have brought you in on this?
I'm going to assume they are going to dabble in the newer Fallout entries. So 3, Vegas, 4, possibly 76, rather than...
I feel that it would be dangerous ground for them to start bringing 76 into it.
Not necessarily... using it as a springboard, but like maybe some of the elements of it that aren't in some of the older games.
I'd say if anything, maybe some of the creatures like Scorch Beasts
that's
and
what I mean,
Megasloths and that kind of stuff. So there might be, a Death Claws season 1 baddie, but then a Scorch Beast, because then how do you deal with a flying death bat?
Yeah.
But obviously we've got several locations from. So if we say like 1, 2, and Fallout Tactics. They're very much relegated to sort of classic PC gaming, and most people would have been exposed to the Fallout franchise from Fallout 3 and onwards.
Yeah.
So I'd say it'd be safer to think that it would be any elements that come from the games would be from 3, 4, Vegas, and possibly 76 as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We've got Boston, we've got Washington, we've got Vegas, we've got Appalachia. So do you think that this is going to be set in any of those?
I'm going to say it's definitely going to be in America. What type of America that is, I honestly couldn't say. Like your Washington, Boston, that kind of thing. But I think we've actually talked about it before. But I think it'd be much more interesting to see it somewhere else. I don't think we'll see that in the TV show. I think they'll do it in the game before they do that. So I think it's going to be, it'll definitely be in America or a fictionalized version of essentially America.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do Big Hero 6 it and just combine two different countries.
I doubt it, because that absolutely would infuriate people. But I think it would make more sense if they do. But I think that there's other areas of the world that I would like to see. I'd like to see what Europe looks like in this world. I'd like to see what England looks like in this world. China, obviously, they're the big enemy with America in the Fallout universe. What does China look like? Is it as battered as America is? Did that survive? Is it all right? Who's to say? So I think there's areas of the world that you could touch on where you would expose people, because obviously we've got like the aesthetic of the 40s and 50s within the sort of the decimated America as you see it in the Fallout games. It's all kind of like American diners and big fancy cars that are all nuclear powered and whatever. But what's England like in the 40s and 50s at that specific point in time as well? I keep saying the 40s and 50s. That's the aesthetic of it. I don't think it's 2077.
Yeah, it's like massively in the future, but with like a cool.
They just haven't really got past
design.
The aesthetic of it. Yeah. So like they basically got to like the design aesthetic of the 50s and just went, well, there's no need to change this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you look at like obviously because that's still set 50 years in the future from where we are now. Other than retro diners, nowhere really looks like that anymore. No. There's no more beautiful suburbs. Well, I suppose there are in really, 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 really fancy places, but it's probably not going to be Fallout set in Beverly Hills. Do you know what I mean? It will be just where there's plenty of space and some recognisable buildings and stuff. Like New York would be quite a good one, I suppose, but also to make New York look like a desolate wasteland would be quite costly, I imagine. But I think you're right. I think it would probably still be in America, but I would like to see other areas of the world that have been affected, because it's rarely, if ever, touched on.
Yeah.
In most of the games that I've played, anyway.
I don't know if it's in the board games or anything like that, but
maybe so. But it wouldn't be the same experience as being able to go there and mooch about.
No, I want to be able to see it. I want to be able to not feel. That sounds stupid, but. Like witness firsthand the aftermath and effects in Japan or in England or I don't know, fucking Africa, anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Because I mean, like obviously we've got like things like we know what the military situation was for America. They had power armor, they had blimps, they had tanks, they had whatever. But did they develop like a similar suit armor? They go, well, the Americans got these armored mech suits, so we need mech suits to be able to go up against them. But what would that look like? Like there's a ton of stuff that you could do with other areas of the world, but it would be interesting to see if they just go, we know Washington, we know Boston from the games, it's purely just going to be set in one of the games in that area. Maybe not necessarily at the same time, obviously, because there's still about 100 years or so, I think, that separate out 3 and 4 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
I think it's safer to. I think it'll be safer to do it that way. Just
I suppose
pick
so.
A game and a setting, and whether or not they follow the exact. What's the term?
Protagonist.
Yeah, so like it doesn't. It's not Fallout 3, but it is set in that kind of area, kind of thing.
See, I do think that would be a dick move, though, because if it was like it's like Gotham, it's like, oh, it's Gotham, it's the Riddler, it's Penguin. There's no Batman though.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why would I watch it if Batman's not in it? Like at the same sort of time, like if the Lone Survivor or the Wanderer, if they're not. I wouldn't expect them to be in it, because obviously that's a grey bubble of a character that could be anyone.
Yeah,
that's your character, But, places, cities, characters, ghouls. Like, ghouls live forever as far as we know. So, would I expect some of those to pop up if they were set in Washington? If it was Boston, or, if it was Boston, would Nick Valentine be there? I'd imagine so. I'd hope so. That's what I'd expect. I'd expect Diamond City to be there, and that would be like a big hub of activity, and it'd be a big set that they could build. Not scale, obviously.
But
elements of it. So then I'd expect to see certain characters cross over from the games into the show. But speaking of protagonists, though, that brings me to my next question: will the protagonist be a vault dweller?
I think it's very silly to assume that it wouldn't be. It's not that. I think personally, I don't think it's a franchise where you can go. So for argument's sake, Gotham was about Alfred.
Well, it was about Gordon.
No. I mean, actually, that is a much better example. So Gotham is a Batman TV show, but it's not about Batman. It's about Commissioner Gordon. And you go, okay. If you have a Fallout TV show that's not about a Vault Dweller, it may as well not be a Fallout TV show.
Yeah. I mean, it could just be, a bandit or, a military soldier that's sort of been left behind in the war, I suppose. But it depends. Like, I think I'd agree with the fact that you'd be daft not to do the protagonist being a Vault Dweller. And the beauty of it is, as well as it's not a predetermined character, it could be any race, any gender. Yeah. It could literally be anyone because it's supposed to be your avatar within that world. Yeah. But I do think that they could say it's just about some randos that have just, their families have survived the war and generations on, they've got used to it. And then they come into contact with a Vault Dweller. Or, it could just be like, what if it was just some rando? And then they get a random visitor on their farm, and it's the sole survivor.
Yeah.
So it's from Vault 111. Then you'd be like, oh my god, like when I was playing Fallout, I would just visit a random farm, and they'd be like, oh, you're from a vault, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Like, and they could bring a pit boy in sweet tech to the party sort of thing, But then they just as they come in, they help out, they do a thing, they get some caps, and they're on their way, and that could just be it. I think it would be a massive waste if they did that.
Yeah.
It would have to be someone. But would it be a Fallout 3 kind of, you're in a vault, you know what the world's like, but you've never left the vault sort of deal? Or would it be a Fallout 4, the bombs have dropped, you've gone into stasis, you've woken up, it's 300 years later, whatever, the world's gone to shit, and you're going, what is any of this? So I think that I'd be annoyed, I think, until I saw it, and maybe if I was proved wrong, but I'd be annoyed if it wasn't someone from a vault.
Yeah.
Because what's the point? That's literally the start point for every fucking game.
Yeah, it's not just it's not like, this TV show about The Witcher isn't about Geralt. There's other characters you can choose from, and with Fallout, I know there's obviously other characters in the game, but when you think of Fallout, the first thing you think of is the vaults, the Vault Dwellers.
Yeah, where's the next vault?
Yeah.
Because, I'd love just sort of wandering around, and then you just see that little blacked out symbol of a vault door.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, a vault I haven't been to yet. Unbelievable. And then when you go down, and as soon as you open it, you're just like, what happened in here?
Yeah. Because there's history there.
What absolute nonsense happened in here? Was everybody gassed? Was everybody drugged? Was everybody starved? Did they all turn to cannibals? Was everybody cloned? There's literally a million things that Vault-Tec would have been pissing about with. So I think that it'd be safer if they just had a random vault appearance where someone found a vault. It would probably have to be a vault either exactly from the game, so any vault that you could have visited or has been talked about in any of the terminals or whatever, and recreate whatever happened in that vault, or it would have to be a brand new vault with some other mental stuff that's going on in it. But you mentioning companions, though, that brings me nicely to my next question.
Hey.
Which NPCs or companions would you want to see? Now that covers any game.
Dog meat.
Dog meat, I think there has to be a dog in it. But it has to be a German Shepherd, and regardless of whether it's a bandit or a mercenary or a Vault Dweller or whoever it is, at some point, I can guarantee you they're going to get a German Shepherd companion.
Yep.
They have to. It's iconic to the series,
And if they don't, I'll be fucking raging.
Yeah, I know, right? But then it's just sort of like, oh god, well, he gets the dog. What if the dog gets killed? What if that's a plot point?
Yeah, well, it can happen in the game. Well, not in 4, but it can happen in the game.
It does in 3, multiple times.
That's why they changed it in 4.
Yeah, because it was so annoying. I remember when I got dog meat in 3, I left the junkyard and it was either a Yao Guai or a Deathclaw, Like he just shot off, and then it was just like this monster beast, and just boop, dead.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe it. Like I've spent this whole game, like the whole fucking marketing thing was like, someone in a 101 Volt suit walking over the horizon with a dog next to him.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the journey I want, and got my dog, boom, dead instantly. I was devastated.
It didn't die like immediately, but I was on my way back from. I think I'd been just like looting around and stuff, and I was on my way back, and he got killed, and I was like, quickly I had a look online. I was like, oh, so he doesn't come back. Fucking excellent. So I restarted an old save that was before I got dog meat, and then I ended up getting one of the houses in Megaton and just telling him to stay there. And I just left him there for the whole game. Every now and again I'd go check on him.
He's still alive? You got plenty of food? Right, I'll see you in a week.
I just don't want to risk it. I don't want him to fucking die.
No, I get it. It makes sense. But there's many more companions that have been across all of the other games. Valentine, obviously, we mentioned, is a great companion to have. But there's various mercenaries. There's Piper from Fallout 4, the sort of journalist reporter. There's Codsworth, the Mr. Handy robot. So I think that things like robots, robo-brains, and like the sort of general walking around like multi-purpose robot, I can't remember what they're called now, but
I know what you mean. I can't think of the name.
There's like medical versions and soldier versions and police versions. They're like sort of like the general use robot, I guess. But there's the potential for any of those. Like Robo Brains, I think are really interesting because you could put anyone in a robot. You could get Nathan Fillion and just be like, yeah, I'd turn myself into a Robo Brain. Why not? Like
he ain't doing nothing
you could
else.
Do anything with those. Well, yeah, but give him lasers and Tesla cannons and stuff. But there's lots of robots and stuff. But with robots, there's also a million sort of mutated, horrific, just sort of general bad guys. So we've got rad scorpions, rad roaches, super mutants. There has to be super mutants, otherwise, again, it kind of they'd be missing a trick there. But it's also, how do you make a super mutant? Is it CGI? Does it look good? Deathclaws, another staple. But Brahmin, radstags. There's a million different types of horrible insects and ants and bugs and God knows what else that could factor in, that would just be general run of the mill, kill 'em all bad guys. Feral ghouls, sure, why not? Throw a couple of them in there. I'm sure you've got plenty of makeup and shit left over from The Walking Dead. Slap it all on them, get them running in. But I mean, is there a specific companion maybe that you'd want to see make an appearance?
Off the top of my head,
or an enemy maybe.
Obviously, you've got some of your super mutants and that. Off the top of my head, I can't think of the names. But you've got the female one in Vegas. You got the one in 4 who's with you meet him with the doctor guy.
The doctor. Yeah. Strong, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Like stuff like that. And I think realistically it wouldn't be that hard to make them, whether or not they do CGI or whether they do it as like a big guy in a suit. It's completely doable.
Swamp Thing looked pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Given the fact that was just a guy in a suit, so maybe they could make a few and have like a super mutant camp.
Yeah, so it's all definitely doable. But they're the ones I'd like to see more than a lot of the other ones. But I don't know. Obviously, like you say, like you've got your Mr. Handys and stuff, and dog meat's a given. There will be a dog meat in it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know. Valentine. I think Valentine would be interesting.
I think that he's the one that I think he'd be sort of the Garrus of the companions. If I had a list of all of them, he'd probably be the one I'd gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Because especially when I had the Automatron DLC for 4, the only companion I had was a custom-made Robo Brain that had so much storage on it, so I could just fill it full of shit and take it back to one of my bases and, you know, fill up all their steel and wood and stuff so I could build extra shit there. But that didn't really have a character. It was just my trusty companion that could carry my shit. But there's been plenty of companions to have, but in terms of like the companions that you get for Mass Effect, say, like I would sit there for a while going, oh god, who do I want? Yeah, well that person's psychic, but that person's better with the like long range shit. And do I go for Legion? Do I go for Garrus? Do I have Jack come along? You know, there's this thought that goes into each selection, whereas the companions in Fallout more, it's just sort of like, I will give you a gun and clothes and ammo and grenades and shit, and then you just fight alongside me. Like, they've got their own stories and backstories and stuff like that, but none really took me as much as Valentine, I'd say. Like, you had a detective agency, man, but he's a synth based on an old detective, and like he was trying to solve crimes, and you helped him solve the crime that the real detective. Like, it was a really cool sort of story arc. So if anyone was to show up, if it was in Boston, I want it to be Valentine, especially as it's a synth as well. So, you know, but would it be pretty figuring out he's a synth, maybe?
Possibly.
I
think he's definitely one of the more interesting ones.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, but how much influence do you think the games are going to have over the show itself? Like, how much of the lore, how much of the weapons, the mental tech, the crazy enemies, like, you know, the sort of weird psycho robots and AIs that run the place, and, you know, everything goes a bit tits up, usually all the time. But how much of that do you reckon do you reckon they're going to keep it a bit more grounded, so it'll just be sort of like a dystopian apocalyptic future? Or are they going to go full Fallout and you can have laser miniguns and flamethrowers and rocket launchers and big bats with like rockets on them and stuff? You know, how far do you think that they'll actually go?
I'd like to say it is going to be relatively faithful to the game. However, budget reasons, technology reasons, I honestly don't know. I think there'll definitely be more elements of certain things, and probably less of the stuff that you kind of really want to see.
So no railway spike launchers.
Yeah, potentially, or if they do, maybe it's in the second season or something like that. But I think you're going to get your Pit Boys and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, for sure.
Anything you expect, anything you like really want to see, like Liberty Prime, that kind of stuff,
or a cryolator.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not to say ever, but I don't think they'll do it for the first run.
Yeah, they're going to keep it more sort of normal guns, normal bullets, that kind of stuff. Maybe with there's like a power fist thing, which is like the
weird glove
pneumatic fist that you can smack people with and they go flying. But to be fair, that ties into another question that I've got: is what tone will it have? So will it take this seriously, or not to say that it would be a comedy necessarily, but will they embrace the sort of mental nature of the Fallout universe?
I think it'll be. You know what I reckon is a good comparison to what I think it will be is something like Doom Patrol or Titans, where
I'd say Doom Patrol's got more comedic stuff, but it's also a bit more mental than Titans.
Yeah, so you've got
because there's a giant rat and a giant cockroach making out with each other.
You got the fucking goat that just appears for the portal.
Yeah, there's stuff that you go, this is clearly comic stuff.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like a thing happens.
But
so there's a way of getting away with it, but you know, if there's any sort of comedic tone to it, it's just sort of okay. But this is still based in a world where billions have been killed in nuclear war.
Yeah,
like how much fun can you really have with it?
I think that's the difference between. I know the very, very different games, but Borderlands and Fallout are both post-apocalyptic. They've got cool weapons, interesting designs and whatnot. But Borderlands is very much oh yeah, I kind of forgot the world kind of ended. Look how much fun I'm having. Whereas Fallout is, you've got your funny bits, but a lot of the funny stuff is either what someone has said or what you're reading. So you'll pick up like a data cartridge, or you'll find a comic or a magazine, or it'll be a perk, and it's relatively funny. I wouldn't say it's comedy per se.
No, there's fun elements to it, like when you can freeze people and smash them into 1,000 pieces, or there's like a baseball bat that you can get, which has got like a small chance of sending them absolutely skyrocketing into the air. Like, that's just a fun game thing, but that wouldn't translate into a sort of semi-serious TV show where you're just sort of battering people with a baseball bat.
Exactly.
And then you sort of backhand someone with it and they go flying 3 miles down the road. It would be a bit more difficult to get away unless the whole premise of it was just sort of like, it's the wacky Fallout universe.
Exactly. And I think they need to have funny, because even The Walking Dead had certain funny elements in it at times. Not a lot.
But that's it. But it shouldn't be contained to just like, if there's going to be comedic elements to it, then it has to be because of the situation.
Yeah.
It can't just be it's the funny robot that always keeps tripping over everything. It's like everything's dead serious and I don't know. I just don't want like just a funny person or just an idiot, because it's just like, okay, well, how have they lasted this long then?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all the mercenaries, all the bandits, they're all fucking horrific people, but that's what you need to be in order to survive that kind of a world. Just the sort of the village idiot is probably going to get eaten before they're going to do anything useful.
Yeah, I don't want a protagonist that just stumbles his way to victory. Like, I don't want him to be John Wick, but
no, that would be like. But again, if it's going to be based on, okay, it's a protagonist that will get stronger and better and learn more and be a better shot and whatever, then through the course of a season or multiple seasons, it would be the equivalent of that person leveling up and activating new perks. So maybe they're just they're a bit clumsy or they can't pick locks, and then by the end of it, they can do it no problem. So it's like exposure to various tasks and skills. They learn, and you can sort of see them getting better and stronger and more charismatic or whatever. But there's still the fact that you could be sort of like a Zombieland kind of thing, where it's just sort of like a horrific world, but it's people just sort of having fun with it. But then there's beats that happen within it where you just sort of like so they could just be sort of having a laugh and a joke, and they've been they've just found a great big like vending machine full of Nuka-Cola, and then they go down into the subway, and then like it's full of dead children, and they're just like, oh god, I forgot that the world is actually fucking horrific. Like, there's just something just to take you back out of it, just to the realism of it. So I'd be happy enough with that. It's just that I don't think I could take it just being super serious and taking itself super seriously, because then it could just be any post-apocalyptic show, and we've got enough of those as it is. You need something to set it apart from.
But I don't think Fallout has ever done that. I don't think Fallout has ever been, look how super serious this is.
No, that's what I mean. So if that's the influence that they take from it, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and there can be lighter moments, and people can enjoy themselves for 20 minutes before a Scorch Beast comes in and just destroys everything. Like, it needs to be intense. It needs to be challenging, because if you stray the wrong way, like, you could basically start any Fallout game and just walk in a direction, and I guarantee you will not reach the other side of the map. Because you will get killed along the way.
Annihilated.
There will be something that will get you, and it's that's the thing. It should be a scary world, but one that you could still thrive in if you're good enough or strong enough, or you've got the will of a hero or whatever. So, speaking of desolate wastelands, though, there's a real worry that I do have, and that's, they're going to say that this is a Fallout show and it's set in the Fallout universe and it's based on the Fallout property, but is it going to be set before the war, during the war, or after the war?
I think because I don't. If you haven't watched it, you're probably not really interested in listening to this, but if you haven't watched it, if you've never played it, if you've never played Fallout, you're the protagonist. He doesn't speak. He doesn't do anything. Well, they do speak. You know what I mean? There's no. If you took the person out of it and put somebody else in, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. And I think because you haven't really got, other than the fact that you are playing that character, you haven't got that you haven't got the connection. Like Geralt, he's cool, he's suave, he's badass, and you root for him because you know he's cool. The Vault Dweller you play as isn't particularly any of those things, and I think the smartest thing they could do, double-edged sword. I think it'll piss a load of people off if they start with it, but like in 4, where it's before everything's nice, everything's bright, everything's colourful, and then the shit hits the fan and you gotta make it down to the vault. I think if you had like your first episode where everything's pretty hunky-dory, and then the back end of the episode shit starts going down, and then your second episode is after, at least that gives you an episode to get attached to the character, get a feel for what kind of person he or she is, and give you something to take through the rest of the season.
So you can see them grow from whatever they were to, so they could have been a postman or a lawyer or whatever. So part of me thinks that would be a cop out if they just followed the start of the story of 4. So they just went, there's just another vault. It's not 111. It's just another vault that's got freezing tubes in it, and then this person's gone in, and that's how we've gone from this is what the world used to look like, and now this is what the world does look like. But then if you go and do that, do Vault 111 then. Maybe you were someone else that was in the cryo vault with the sole survivor. You could even just have that, them like their cryotube fucks up or whatever, and as they're leaving, they see that there's a bloke on one side and a woman with a baby on the other. And then they just leave because they go, well, I don't know what this is. But you as the audience would go, holy shit, one of those is me from Fallout 4. But that could still be set 30 years before those tubes are unlocked. So some of the characters may not be alive at that point, that you'd recognise from Fallout 4, but the places would, like the animals would.
That's in a story about.
Things wouldn't have changed, but you'd know that you were in Boston, you were in Fallout 4, and watching it through someone else. Someone else's journey during that.
I think it's a good jumping off point, and
it would be, but it'd feel like, to me, again, it would feel like you've just gone, that's just an easy way of setting up who someone was before a war and then exposing them to it without explaining how they've managed to survive for 300 years. I would prefer it if it was.
What do you want then? Do you want the first season to be everything is all right?
No, I wouldn't want the beforehand to be shown.
Right.
I'd want to get accustomed to. So it would be hopefully someone who was born into a vault, maybe, or someone who's been born into, something like what they're just born in the wasteland somewhere. Raiders come and kill the whole family, and then they're like, right, I need to sort this shit out. And then maybe they meet someone from a vault, and then they meet a robot that's useful and some mercenaries that take pity on them or whatever. But then you could still have sort of elements of people talking about what they think that the world used to look like or whatever, because by that point you'd be used to the destroyed aesthetic and what everything looks like when it's all blown to hell and 300 years later. But then you could have an episode that's like a flashback episode where you'd see some of the war starting, because I think that even doing it through the war, so seeing the war start and the chaos that would be caused and people running to the vaults and running to the Pulaski shelters and dying whilst in them, obviously. There's stuff that you could take, sort of like a Terminator 2 Judgment Day kind of thing. It's just everything's over. And then it would just sort of slowly but surely, all the fires would just die down, and then trees would grow, and dead trees would sort of waste away, and animals would be changed. You could sort of do what was that Planet Earth thing where they did a thing where they shot something for 3 years,
Oh.
And it was like stop motion, and it was like 3 years worth of like growth and death and regrowth and all that sort of stuff over like a tree log or something. It was incredible, but just that, but 300 years worth of stop motion, so you could see the start of the war, the end of the war, and then everything becoming Fallout as you recognise it, so all grey and pallid and horrible and radioactive.
That might be the intro.
You know, and
like the title.
The title screen, it was just everything like so Walking Dead style. Yeah. So everything just gets older and shitter and rotten and whatever. Yeah.
What do you think the theme tune will be?
The Daredevil theme tune. I reckon they'll just buy the rights to it and use that because I think that's ace. But well, obviously it'll be the Fallout theme tune.
I want it.
Like the da, 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 da.
I just wanted you to.
Like, I mean, they've already got a theme tune. They've got all the lore. Like every book, every terminal is like people in Bethesda or who made them beforehand? Oh, fuck, I can't remember. But either way, like you know, there's people who've spent hours like writing the lore and the universe for these games to set up what the people were doing beforehand, like all the dirty little secrets that people had and all that kind of shit. You know, there's little that they would need to do. All they'd need to do really is just write a script using all of the material, all of the aesthetics, and all the technology and stuff, the branding, because you know you wouldn't have to have like loads of sponsors or whatever that just to fill space. It would be the equivalent in the Fallout universe. So you don't have Coca-Cola, you have Nuka-Cola. You know, there's all that sort of stuff that you could easily sort of pull from the games and drop in. But there's also a few other things in terms of factions that also may make an appearance. So we've got things like the Enclave, the Institute, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, the Minutemen. You know, you've got these things that are sort of like big groups, you know, but that seem to spread. Like, what was the Caesar's? Was that the Brotherhood of Steel? It's like a lion, like Paladin Lions or something from Fallout 3. I think that was the first time you sort of see them. But you know, and Liberty Prime. You know, could Liberty Prime be in as like a fail-safe, you know, lasers everywhere sort of thing? You know, but big factions like that, recognizable factions. So raiders don't necessarily always fall under a specific person. Sometimes they're just bad guys to shoot for a bit. But then you've got things like the like what was the insect lord or whatever it was in Fallout 3? There was like the mechanist or something. Lord. Yeah, there was like a superhero supervillain battle. So there was someone who was like in control of the giant ants.
I honestly can't remember that.
Yeah, because like it's like the mechanist or something like that. But the mechanist shows up in Fallout 4. And I don't think it's the original one from Fallout 3, but it's someone who's followed the same path, basically, and has created this, or has taken on the mantle of the Mechanist. Because then when you've either killed or reasoned with them, you can get the Mechanist outfit.
I've just Googled it. I do remember. Yeah. Yeah,
so there's stuff like that, which again is silly. And there's like the Silver Spectre or the Silver Ghost or whatever it was, like some serial comic character.
Do you reckon Mothman will make an appearance?
Some of the mental creatures that are in Fallout 76, some of those I wouldn't mind coming through, like a Scorch Beast, like Mothman, because Mothman is just sort of like, it's the sort of thing that people could just, it's like an urban myth in the apocalyptic wasteland. But it's like the Mysterious Stranger. Would the Mysterious Stranger be there? You know, you'd just be in the middle of a fight, whatever, on the show. And then it just cuts to some rando in a big trench coat and a brimmed hat, and just bang, it just shoots one of them and kills them. And they're like, who was that guy? And that's it. That's all the mention that he gets.
Ooh. I quite like the Mysterious Stranger, to be fair. I don't know how they would do it.
Well, like, because Nick was investigating the Mysterious Stranger. Because the Mysterious Stranger is supposed to be someone that's a real person that's actually, like, come through the games. So like he's been investigating someone who's like he's branded as like a serial killer. Like it'll just show up, it'll kill someone, and then it'll just disappear again. But it's obviously a perk. Yeah. But something like that would be be really confusing if you didn't know what the Mysterious Stranger perk was. But if you did, you'd be like, that's incredible. Like because they never have to explain it because they just be like, oh, it's the Mysterious Stranger. You'd be like, nice one. That's it. But I think with like a big sort of like the Institute would be interesting because it's like synths and stuff and robots, and that could just be like sort of the overarching baddies. But it's the same as the Enclave, I guess. But like the Brotherhood of Steel, I think would have to be in it in one way or another, because the power armor is kind of, that's their big pull. You know, that's what they're easily recognizable as being. You see someone in power armor, it's to my knowledge anyway, it's always, except the Raider stuff, which is sort of like cobbled together or whatever, like the usual sort of like T50, T60, X01 power armor, exclusively the Brotherhood of Steel are wearing those. So to see people like with huge Gatling guns and rocket launchers in power armor sort of stomping about and blowing up Deathclaws, that I think that would have to be in there if it's going to be this like after the war, a few hundred years after the war, so the universe as we understand it from the Fallout games, that's kind of come into play. So like the Children of Atom, they're mooching about, but they're all fucking mental cases. You know, there's a bunch of people that are robo-brains now, and there's people that are like, they think they're magic, or, you know, aliens. Oh, aliens going to be in it. Because, I mean, you know, there was DLC for Fallout 3 that was specifically based on aliens. You find aliens in almost every Fallout game. So, you know, would the main person get a laser gun from an alien ship? Like, if they have aliens in there, it would have to be a bonkers enough show
just
to be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
You couldn't have The Walking Dead and then go, oh my god, a spaceship. Like, it wouldn't fit it at all. So some of the more sort of crazy stuff you'd need to have, like, right from the get-go in order to get away with stuff like that. But talking about the actual making of the show itself, obviously we know it's going to be made by Amazon Studios, which means that it's more than likely going to be exclusive to Amazon Prime.
I'd say so.
We know that the showrunners for Westworld, a fantastically made show in my opinion, are going to be making this. So that does give me confidence that it won't just be fan service, and it will be subtle, it'll be intelligent, it'll be thought through. But hopefully, like because they had some incredible effects for Westworld. It was HBO though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's Westworld. So I mean, you've got an HBO budget for something like that. But then when you think, well, how much money's Amazon got? Well, a lot.
I'd say they've got a fair bit of money.
I'd say they've probably got more than HBO three or four times over without too much sweat, really. So, but it also depends on if they've seen something like The Witcher and gone, okay, people have made The Witcher and it's got great reviews and people are really into it and there's already going to be a second season. We need to get on this bandwagon. HBO have gone, right, Last of Us, that's what we'll do. And people are going, oh, Last of Us, that'll be interesting. That's again, it's a narrative that we already know, but it's one that we can watch in live action now. Fallout and things like Mass Effect would be something where it'd be like, okay, well, this is just, the games have set up the universe, the information, the tech, the look, the sound. All we have to do is just write something within those boundaries. So if Fallout works, I would imagine that it wouldn't be long before a Mass Effect show is teased as well. But there's a lot more expense, I think, that would come with that. Spaceships and aliens and whatever.
I reckon Mass Effect won't be until quite a bit after we've got Halo, just to see how the game sci-fi, that kind of thing pays off. Because I think The Last of Us and Fallout are pretty... I know Fallout's got some pretty fantastical creatures in it, but it's relatively... People cosplay all the time. You can make a lot of the stuff very, very easily. Whereas Mass Effect, you are gonna need a big budget.
A prosthetics budget out the arse.
Prosthetics,
aliens,
like digital effects, fucking, I don't know, real spaceships. But again, same as Last of Us. They don't even need to show that many infected in The Last of Us, as long as it's like tense and atmospheric. You get away with it.
Yeah, you don't need a Lord of the Rings like epic battle.
Obviously,
because that for The Last of Us, that's absolutely not what it's about. It's about trying to avoid that kind of shit.
Whereas Mass Effect, it needs that. It needs action. It needs the crazy sci-fi powers and needs money.
Yeah, so it would be someone like Netflix.
Yeah.
It would be someone like Amazon who would have to pick it up and run with it. But friend of the show, Rick, we were talking about Fallout yesterday. This new potential show, and he said, "Well, what if it was something like American Horror Story? So what if each season that they made it was based on a different person? So the first season could be a vault dweller. The second season, if people are reacting well to it, and the universe they've set up is they can just do other things with it. And the second season's about someone who was a companion of the vault dweller, maybe, or maybe someone who's not even connected to it, but the effects from the first season have had an impact on them. You know, because it's an open world RPG. There's literally anything you can do with it. But is there anyone in particular that you think would be a good fit for, not necessarily just for whoever the main character will be, but obviously there's the potential for voice actors to show up in various forms for robots and creatures and whatever. But are there any actual live action actors or actresses that you think would be either a good fit or that you'd like to maybe see in it, if budget was no limit? But no Tom Cruise or Vin Diesel or whatever, because they're not going to do it. I
definitely don't want fucking Vin Diesel. Unless he's going to get shot in the out.
I think if you could get the Rock, I'd say put him in a green suit, make him a super mutant, and make
the
him
Rock. Absolutely.
The Rock in there.
I don't want Vin Diesel anywhere near Fallout, unless he's falling out of an aeroplane. Hey,
nice. Wishing death on someone.
No, he doesn't die. He just doesn't appear in any films anymore, unless he's going to do Riddick. Then I'll allow it.
Another Riddick. Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I honestly, like, I mean, you've got your, so say Preston. You know who I think would make a good Preston? Did you watch? Is it His Dark Secrets? Her Dark Secrets? The Golden Compass thing.
Oh,
That's
His Dark Materials.
Bloody Badger.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, not all of them, but most
really
of
good,
them.
really good series. I really enjoyed it. The guy who plays the dude with the snake.
Oh mate, I haven't watched it in a while.
Anyway,
wait, isn't that what's his name? Michael.
Something like that. I think he'd make a good Preston.
He's in Hamilton and stuff.
I don't know.
You've seen House? He was like House's roommate.
It is. I shall have a quick look. No, Lord Boreal. His name is.
Well, the character.
No, in real. Oh, his real name. Yeah, Erion Bicare is his real name.
Right, I'm not sure if that's the same person.
He's in Doctors, Good Omens, Carnival Row, and His Dark Materials. But I think he would make a really good. Just looking at this, do you reckon James McAvoy would make a good certain synth detective? No.
No, not at all. No.
I honestly, I don't know because it's not. So like Geralt, I know we keep using The Witcher as a reference, but it's the best video game to. Well, I know it's based on the books. Anyway.
We'll take it. It's the only one we've got.
Like, you could sit and think, like, even if you didn't want Henry Cavill as Geralt, and you're wrong.
You could picture somebody else.
Like there would have been loads of people that had their own versions of who could play Geralt in their head. Wolverine, Captain America. There's so many different characters in different mediums where you can sit and go, I'd really like such and such to play this character. Fallout, I can't honest. There's nobody that springs to mind for, like, Vault Dweller could be anyone. You could pick somebody off the street; it wouldn't make a difference. And then like your Brotherhood of Steel, they don't even need to show the faces if they don't want to.
No, but you still got like Elder Maxwell, and Elder what's his face from 3 that I can't remember. There's like iconic characters, but I don't think you need to try and capture their look too much. Like, it would be mainly in clothes and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you have it so people know who they are, but I don't think, unless you're like a massive, ridiculous, die-hard Fallout fan, I don't think you could cast someone and people would go, "What a fucking shit choice."
As long as they can act.
Yeah,
and as long as
I mean, I
the script that
don't mean
they're
like give
given
it
is
to like a sponge, but I honestly can't think of anyone off the top of my head who I really want to play a certain character. Except Dogmeat, it's got to be a German Shepherd.
good. Yeah, for sure. If they cast it as a pug, I'm not watching it.
Pug.
Yeah. But we haven't got any other information other than this point, other than it is being made. So obviously no trailers as of yet, no castings, no nothing. This is all still very new to us all, but very exciting to us all, Callum. So if you've got speculation, if you've got comments, if you've got thoughts on what you'd either like to see or what you think, maybe what they're not, maybe not what you want, but what you think is more realistic for them to make, let us know, because this is something I'm 100% going to be keeping my eye open for any sort of development or news that we get about it. So stay tuned, as we will have other bits and pieces, including podcasts, game shows, let's plays. We've got a new thing that's just gone up for Elmo Explores the Internet, a series that we've revisited from many, many years ago, which was quite fun. And have a fantastic... what month are we in? July? Fantastic my birthday, I guess, because there's no real events or anything that
End of the month
this month. Have a great lockdown.
Birthday.
Sure, it doesn't count. He doesn't understand it. But that'll do. Callum, thank you very much for joining.
For
I hope you're excited for Fallout.
I'm very excited.
Mate. Excellent. Well, we will catch you all later. Have a fantastic my birthday.
You want to see Elmo's balls?
Oh, it's clearly a child. That's not okay.
There you go. Click, 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 click.
Hey, listen, I'm staring at my head. I need this right now. Come on.
Yeah, it was an amazing joke.
Oh, thanks,
So
man.
good.
It's all about the money because it doesn't resort to bad said motherfuckers in the biker shorts.
Wow.
Wow.
Elmo!
I said I love you.
Elmo!